fortunate enough to be initiated by Revered Swami Bhuteshanji Maharaj, but much later, much after this gentleman was initiated. He was initiated in 1986, and I was initiated in 1991. Yes. Yes. All right. What's the difference between soul and awareness? Now, the English word soul is ambiguous. I'll give you two sentences which will show you two different meanings of the word soul. When we say, oh, he's a good soul, what do we mean? We mean he's a good person. Maybe he's noble and honest and sincere and caring and so on and so forth. So he's a good soul. He's a good person. But when we use words like the immortal soul, you're referring to something spiritual then, not just the personality. In Vedanta, it's very clear, the word Atman, the self, the ultimate nature of the self is consciousness. What's the word he has used? Awareness. Yes. So in Vedanta, we have the body, and in this body, embodied, we have our personality, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, our memories, our likes and dislikes. Basically, the person we are. Body and the person we are. You might ask, why are you distinguishing between the two? Well, it's a fact. Notice, the body is public. Others can see the body, the doctor can examine the body. But the inner person, which we are, our thoughts, feelings, likes, dislikes, our happiness, sorrow, that's only available to us first person, directly, privately, inwardly. Not available to anybody else. It's available to others only if you choose to express it. If you want to express your inner sorrow, pain, you have to tell others. They can't see it. I mean, they might read it from your expression and all, but directly they don't experience it the way you or I experience it inwardly. So it makes sense to say that there are two dimensions of ourselves. One, the physical, public dimension, the body, our language, our behavior, everything it's in the world, it's there. And there is also this inner dimension, the personality, the psychology, the mind, the intellect, the memories, the likes and dislikes, our story. So that part is called, in Vedanta, that's also called a body. The body is a body. It's called the physical body or gross body. Gross in the sense of physical. I mean, also it can be gross in the American sense. And the subtle body. Subtle in what sense? It's subtler than this physical body. But it's still a body. It's not you. And that which it encloses, embodies, the real you, is what Vedanta would call the Atman, the self. So this real self, why am I saying real self? Because we also regard this body as ourselves. We also regard, most of us almost certainly regard the mind, the subtle body as ourselves. So in one sense, the body is also a self. The subtle body is also a self. But in the real sense, if you inquire, you'll come to the fact that these are bodies. These are like an outer layer of clothes and inner layer of clothes. Neither of them are you. There are many, many arguments to show this clearly. One argument is changing and unchanging. The physical body is continuously changing. From birth to babyhood to teenage, youth, middle age, old age, and so on, it's continuously changing. And yet we all admit, I am the same one who was there in this body, embodied yesterday and day before yesterday, and so on back to my earliest babyhood, beyond, even beyond that, behind that, when I don't even remember. I was the same one. We claim it. Not only we claim it, everybody accepts it. Your mom will tell you, that's your baby picture. The law holds that you are the same one. Common sense, legally, philosophically, we are constant. Then which is this constant I? Can't you say that we are both changing and unchanging? You can be both changing and unchanging with regard to two different things. Unchanging with regard to your real nature and changing with regard to the body. But the same thing cannot be both changing and unchanging. That's flat out contradictory. I mean, I'm repeating what a monk said. Somebody said to him, it's possible, why not? I'm changing and also I'm unchanging. And the monk replied, it's in Hindi, so I have to give a rough translation. The Hindi reply was, Wah, gadha bhi aur ghoda bhi. You're both an ass and a horse at the same time. You can't be both at the same time, an ass and a horse. Literally, it's illogical. So therefore, logic forces us. And there are many other arguments to show that we cannot literally be this body. Another insight is, I am aware of this body. I am the subject. I am the seer. I am the knower. And the body is the object, the seen, the known. And the two can never be the same. I am aware of the body. The body is not aware of me, whatever I am. So in this way, we are forced into a position where we begin to see, I am not literally the body. I am in some sense embodied. I am in some sense here, but I am not literally the body. And in the same way, even more dramatic, even more stunning, and even more freeing, I am not literally the mind. That's also another body, a subtler body. But then the big question arises, if that's so, then what am I? What am I? I exist, but if I'm not literally the body, I exist if I'm not literally the mind, then what am I? See, let's appreciate this question. If I am the body, if somebody asks me, what are you? I can clearly say, I am a biological being and I have cells and organs and tissues and so on, this body. I can describe, this is what I am, this here. If I say, no, I'm not a body, but I am an embodied person. That's what most of us think. Any adult, thinking, sensitive person will think of themselves as a person, a person basically. And if that, in that case, the question is, what are you? What are you made of? You will say, well, there is the body, of course, but I am also thoughts, memories, ideas, dispositions, likes and dislikes, a personality. Subtle, but definitely it's there. We are all different personalities. Nobody can doubt that. But if I am not the personality, not the mind, not the subtle body, and not the physical body, then a pertinent question would be, then what are you? What are you made of? If you're not made of flesh, if you're not made of thoughts, what are we made of? And then we come to we begin to notice two things. That I am clearly, and I'm aware. So there'll be big discussions whether this awareness is part of the mind or not. I mean, you have to start with the body. Isn't this awareness produced by the body? The whole question of materialism, reductionism to the brain. Then further, isn't this awareness part of the mind? And there are very wonderful arguments to show, and more taking hold of world thought, that consciousness cannot be reduced, awareness cannot be reduced to the brain and the mind. So now the answer to that question is that the difference between soul and awareness is, if you take the soul as the personality, soul has two meanings, ambiguous. If you take the soul as the personality, as the mind, as the subtle body, then awareness is the real you. But if you take the soul as the spiritual soul, the immortal self, then the question is, what is this immortal self? It is pure consciousness or pure awareness. So I hope that helps. And that's the answer to the question, that depending on your interpretation of the word, or which meaning of the word you're taking, of the word soul you're taking. If you're taking it in the sense of a personality, then it's the mind. If you're taking it in the sense of the spiritual sense, as the true self, then it is awareness. It is being consciousness, existence awareness. Can we take one more from the internet audience?
Yes, Swamiji. This question is from Rashmi Karananth. I understand, especially after listening about Dridrisha Viveka, that the relationship between the reflected consciousness and ego is natural, and that the relationship of the reflected consciousness and consciousness, with the capital C, or Brahman, is one of illusion. When I try to apply this principle in times of despair and discount the fact that I am the body-mind, it does give me satisfaction to know that the insults or slights being hurled are not towards the real me. But then will I not have to write off also the love that my immediate family may have for me? Because even that is to my untrue self. What is the meaning or value of the love my family has towards me if it is not towards the real me?
Okay, good. Nicely trapped. Let me explain the background first. If those who have seen Drigdrishya Viveka, you may or may not remember. But it's a very interesting part of the text, Drigdrishya Viveka. Drigdrishya Viveka is an introductory text for Advaita Vedanta. This is the discrimination or the discernment of the seer and the seen. The seer being ultimately. Right now the seer is, I am the seer, you are all the seen. But ultimately when we investigate, upon investigation, we realize the seer is ultimately consciousness or awareness. That's what experiences everything. And everything else is an object to the seer. Objects which appear to consciousness. Now in that book, there's a very interesting sequence where the author is helping us to pin down or to point out, not pin down, you can't pin it down, but you can point it out, what you are. And the way to do that, what he does that in that book is, what's the last thing that we can become aware of? It is the ego. Last thing means the most subtlest thing about myself. And if I go from the body to the breath to the mind and my intellect, my memories, my ideas, feelings, everything, go further and further, deeper and deeper, it all boils back to I. I. The sense of I. Then that's the ego. That's not the true self. That's the ego. And that ego feels aware. Right now, just check for yourself. I am, yes. And is it aware? Yes, of course. This awareness reflected in the ego, in the mind, but in the ego especially, this is the subtlest thing that we can be aware of. And this awareness, now, what's the connection of this awareness to the body? And the author, the questioner has written, the book, as you said in the book says, this ego, the awareness in the ego, the reflected consciousness and the body, they are connected by birth. It's natural. As long as the body lives, this I, this aware I, this conscious I will feel, I am the body. Right now we feel that. Or at least I am embodied. Or at least this is my body. This is natural. Why do you say natural? Because it starts with birth. The moment the I comes to awareness, it also comes to awareness of itself embodied in this body. And it will end with death. When the body dies, people who have near-death experiences, and if you read the accounts floating up from the body, then they clearly have, Vedanta will say, aha, so you are where? I am in the ceiling, floating up from the body, and the doctors are trying to revive the body. So clearly you are not the body. What happens at death is this natural link between yourself and the body is snapped. The body becomes an object to you. It always was an object, by the way. But at that point, that link is snapped. You are not this body. If you're born again, in the biological way, I'm born again as in the other ways of being born again. Okay, I can't resist this. I saw a cartoon. So there are born again Christians. This is born again Christian talking to a Hindu. He's saying, I am a born again Christian. And the Hindu says, I am a born again and again and again and again Hindu. Say born. In that case, the body, the reflected consciousness will get a natural connection to the new body, the baby's body in which it is embodied. So it's a natural connection. The whole point is, this I, if you feel the I, it has a natural connection with this body. It won't go until this body dies. Okay. What else? The connection, the connection between the mind, the ego, and the reflected consciousness is sahajam. That it comes up, whenever the ego comes up, consciousness will be reflected in it. So the term we used for the connection between the reflected consciousness and the body is karmajam or karmajanyam, born of our past karmas. As soon as the past karmas for this body are exhausted, this body will die and your connection with this body will end. And the connection between the mind, especially the ego, and into which this consciousness is reflected right now, that is called sahajam, natural. It's like a mirror and the face reflected in the mirror. If you have a mirror in front of you, automatically your face will be reflected in the mirror. Automatically, you'll see a reflection coming in the mirror. If you take the mirror away, no reflection. If you bring the mirror back, again reflection. So, this consciousness which we feel right now is like reflected in the mirror of the I. Neither the I means the ego, neither the I is the true I, nor is this consciousness reflected in the I, the true consciousness. Just like neither am I the mirror, nor am I the face reflected in the mirror. Who am I? Here. Now, finally, what this question has written. The third thing that was pointed out in Drigdrishya Vivek, and most important, what Vedanta wants to point out. You are not the body. It will come and go with your past karma. You are not the mind. Whenever the mind comes up, you will find yourself reflected in the mind, consciousness reflected in the mind. But who am I truly? The question is posed very precisely. It's forensic in its precision. This ego, which we are all aware of, and it's the final thing, the closest to the self. Most of us, almost always, we take the ego as the self. But remember, according to Vedanta, the ego is like the face, is like the mirror. And the consciousness in the ego is like the face reflected in the mirror. And you are truly neither the mirror, nor the face reflected in the mirror. You are the real face. You are the real consciousness. The actual consciousness. So the question now is, what is the link between pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, witness consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Turiya, Chit, Sakshi, whatever you want to call it, the real consciousness, and the consciousness that we feel right now, the reflected consciousness in the ego? What's the link? Why do we want to know that? If we know that, we can snap the link. Or at the very least, we can follow the link back to ourselves and answer the question, who am I? Is this question clear? The placing of the question. It's subtle. It's precise. It's very forensic. The question is clear. Now the operation can start. Snapping the link between ourselves and our false notion of body-mind. You have to know where to snap it. You can't cut it anywhere. You'll be a terrible surgeon if you do that. Vedanta is a good surgeon, cuts at the right place. That old story about somebody was called to repair a machine, a complicated, sophisticated machine. I read the joke in Reader's Digest. This expert was called in. Nobody could repair it in-house. The expert was called in. He looked at the machine, big, complicated piece of machinery. He went to a particular spot and he gave it a kick and started working. And then said, "What's your bill?" And he gave the bill, $1,000. And the manager was furious. He said, $1,000 for a kick? Could you please give me an itemized breakdown of what is it that you have done? And what are the items? So the mechanic wrote back saying that here is the itemized bill, that $1 for the kick and $999 to know where to kick. So Vedanta tells you where exactly to look, and then the operation is very easy. So, what is the link between the ego and the consciousness reflected in the ego, which we must center ourselves in right now, and the real consciousness? To help you with this, imagine the mirror, your face reflected in the mirror, and the real mirror. It's exactly like that. It's almost exactly like that. What's the link between this face and the face reflected in the mirror? What's the link? Nothing. There's no link. If link means if I think I am that face in the mirror, and you tell me you are not that, you're the real face, and I'm trying to help me out here. What's the link between me and the so-called real face? You'll say there's no link. If you think there is a link, it's born of error. It's born of foolishness. In Sanskrit, Bhranti Janyam. The link between this ego and the consciousness in the ego and you, the real consciousness, is born of error. There's no link. There's no link. As one sadhu put it beautifully, in Hindi, straightforward, bluntly. He said, Bevkufi matra hai Mahatma ji. It's only foolishness which ties you to this body-mind. Now, this is all background. This is already the questioner has got it all. I am the witness consciousness, not linked to body and mind. Great. It helps me in times when my mind is unhappy, body is sick, people are insulting me. Then, okay. It works. Ramana Maharshi, I've told you the story, I read it once, that somebody wrote an article criticizing him and sent him a copy. And Ramana Maharshi, in those days before X and Facebook and all, nowadays you can instantly criticize a person and trolling, yes. So somebody trolled Ramana Maharshi and sent him a copy. And Ramana Maharshi sat down and diligently corrected the grammar and the spelling, improved it and sent it back to him. And then somebody asked, but Maharshi, he's criticizing you. And Ramana Maharshi said, no, he isn't. He's criticizing some fellow called Ramana. If somebody criticizes the mirror, and that mirror is twisted, broken, and the face in that is cracked and not clear, what is it to you? What is it to you? So he says, it works. Good. But now, the question is, so insults I can handle. Problems, maybe in the physical body also, some type of pain, aches I can handle. It's an object, it's there. I'm aware of it, that's it. But what about love? What about praise? People like me, my own family, they love me, they cherish me. Isn't that also a love or the cherishing of the false self? Okay, pay attention here. It's a good question. It's an entry into the value of Advaita. What does Advaita do for you, especially in relation to love? Notice, if you think like this, if I think like this, we want love then. What am I missing? I am missing the love of, I'm worried, the love of my family, those are beloved to me, those who like me very much. Is that love then empty? Suppose it is, have you lost anything? If we are demanding love from others, we are very much in our personality, limited body-mind personality. If we crave appreciation and love from others, why would you do that? You are literally those others. You're literally those others. You not only love them, you are one with them, every one of them. For Ramana Maharshi, the person in front of him, his devotee, and the person who wrote a critical article trolled him, both are equally, not only beloved, they are one with him. If you realize yourself as this witness consciousness, you are as vast as the sky. The sky accepts everything, gives resistance to nothing in this universe, because it is you. This is far greater than any love. Not only greater, it will be expressed as love, as unconditional love. Not just love of a beloved person, not just love of a family, not just the admiration of an admirer, Facebook like. Yeah? Not just that, much more than that. This is genuine oneness with others. So if they love you and do not love you, it doesn't matter. You love them anyway. And you are happy in that. If they love you, yes, their love is towards the personality which you are. But that personality itself, is that love misplaced? Not really. The personality is a projection of yourself. They unknowingly, they are loving you, but they're loving the mask which is in front of you. Good. That's fine. It's not really ultimately misplaced. No love is ultimately misplaced. Hatred is misplaced. Vivekananda, in Lahore at that time, he was traveling, and another newspaper editor trolled him, wrote something critical about him. Vivekananda was sitting in a group of people praising that editor. And then somebody said, but Swamiji, are you aware? He has written an article criticizing you. And Swami Vivekananda said, what do you mean? I cannot recognize the good character of a person just because he's saying a few critical things about me? So this is where you are fine with the criticism of others and with the love of others. You love them regardless. Because you're endlessly confident. You're decisively confident in your real nature as limitless existence, limitless consciousness, limitless bliss. Your cup is overflowing. What could you want? What could anybody add to it? Yes. Anybody here wants to ask a question? Please come. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
My name is Harman, and I have a question on a question that you answered before, a follow-up to it, and I've written it down so that I get it correctly. So the question that you answered was, is enlightenment knowledge or experience?
Yeah.
And the answer that you gave was that it's both, and it's also an experience because of the intensity of the experience itself. So as I understand it, knowledge is shaped through experiences, both sensory and cognitive, and the knowledge we acquire is personal and itself evolves over time. So my question is, how is knowledge different from experience? And is knowledge personal like experiences, or is it independent of that individuality?
Let me take a pass at that question and see if it works for you. The difference, when we put up a difference between knowledge and experience, it's only when we think of knowledge as, book. I read it, I saw it, I heard about it. So this is knowledge. I know something. But if you say that I have not really experienced it yet, that gap is possible. I can read in a brochure or see a website about Central Park without actually visiting Central Park. So there's a gap between knowledge and experience then. When I finally visit Central Park, I'll say, okay, now I've experienced Central Park. Not only I know about Central Park, I've actually seen it, been there, done that. So now I have experienced it. This gap between knowledge and experience is possible if that which is to be experienced is at a distance from us. Something that is not yet accessible to our senses, which we cannot experience with our being. It's somehow theoretical. In Sanskrit, this is called paroksha, beyond the range of our senses. Now, supposing there's something which is not at a distance, it's right here. Then knowledge and experience will become the same thing. If it's right here, within our experience, follow this carefully. If it's already within our experience, right here, then why do we need any other knowledge? It's already being experienced. If you're looking at Central Park, do you need a brochure about Central Park? If you're looking at the lake and the Bow Bridge, do you need to see a selfie, a picture about of the Bow Bridge? No, you're seeing the actual thing. Most people today are not. So the actual thing is present. The actual thing is present. Why do you need knowledge? You will need knowledge even when the actual thing is present and vivid and clear and unmistakable. You'll need knowledge if there is ignorance about it. So someone introduces Harman. I said, okay, that's Harman. Now, did I get a new experience or new knowledge about what was already being experienced? I'm already seeing him. And somebody says, that's Harman. Now I know, this person whom I already was seeing is Harman. Similarly, in Advaita Vedanta, the self. We are already experiencing the self. It's you. But we don't know the real nature of the self. Not knowing the real nature of the self, who I am, what I am seeing myself not as I am, as pure consciousness, but I'm seeing myself as a body with consciousness. Not that we are unaware of our conscious nature. We all know we are conscious. If it's pointed out, we'll say, yep, I am conscious. What's the big deal? But we think of ourselves as a body with consciousness. Vedanta wants us to investigate ourselves and come to the realization, I am consciousness itself, bare awareness, and that too limitless. Will this knowledge grow, evolve? It has to be given a nuanced answer. First of all, the first answer is no. It was something that was overseen, not known earlier. Suddenly it is known. Oh, I get it. This is what you mean. And this is what you mean. This breakthrough will remain with you constantly. It will not change. It's the fact of yourself as existence awareness. This will not change. But what will change, that's why I said yes and no. Yes, as you said, it will grow and evolve. What will change is the absorption of this knowledge into the personality. as the personality absorbs this tremendous fact about ourselves, I am limitless existence, I am Atman, Brahman, Buddha, nature, whatever you call it, limitless awareness, then the personality will begin to manifest it, live it. Earlier, the personality was reflecting a body-mind individuality. Good person, bad person, mixed character, whatever. But now it will begin to reflect the fact that I am immortal awareness, the whole universe is one with me. And then how do I live in the harmony personality? This is what is called Jivan Mukti, freedom while living. That is a process. That will not happen instantly. That will be very quick if the preparation has been good before the breakthrough, before the enlightenment. If the preparation has not been complete, it will still be a struggle. I remember one of my teachers, Damodar Ashram. He lived to be 105. So when I was talking to him, this was around the time he was in his late 90s. He talked about his teacher. He was a young monk and he used to cross from the monastery. He would cross the Ganga and go to Calcutta. There was a very great teacher of Pandit, a scholar, Yogendranath Tarkatit, I think. So this young monk would go to him to study Vedanta and others, Mimamsa, Nyaya and everything. And then he would come back and report what he had learned. There was an old monk in the main monastery, Gyan Maharaj. He was a brahmachari and he was blind. He never took the final vows of monasticism. And he was a disciple of Swami Vivekananda. He lived in the monastery. So the old monk would sit there, blind. He would sit there and wait for this young monk, who was my teacher, to come back after studying with the Pandit. I hope it's not getting complicated. So he would come back across the river, and this young monk my teacher, he would have to repeat what he learned from the Pandit. Gyan Maharaj would sit waiting for him, and he would hear his footsteps. And he would say in Bengali, Pandit ki wale. What did the Pandit say? And then you have to summarize. So one day, my teacher told me, I went to the Pandit and I saw him studying some new text. And I asked him, well, at this age also, who was very advanced in age at that time, you are also learning, you're reading new stuff. And the Pandit told me, if I don't learn something new every day, there's no use living. I don't want to live if I do not learn something new every day. And my teacher, he said, I was so impressed by this. I came back across the river and the old monk was sitting there. Pandit ki bale, what did the Pandit say? And I said to him, the Pandit said, I saw him, he was reading new stuff. And then he said, if I don't learn something new every day, new knowledge, growing knowledge, I don't want to live. Then Gyan Maharaj, this old monk, said, that is all right for the Pandit. That's the Pandit's ideal. But in enlightenment, it is once and forever. It will happen once and it will be forever. So, yes, that is the breakthrough. But the manifestation is gradual. Did this answer your question?
It did.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Yes, I'll call upon you next. The person who's raising the hand there. Yeah, there. And then we'll come to you. Yeah. Please sit. Please sit. We'll call upon you next. Let's have the question.
This is from Balaji Veeraswamy. Assuming we have gone through the steps of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, how do we attain the state of enlightenment? Is it while meditating or while actively involved in engaging with the world?
Another easy one, because I know the answer. I read an article many years ago in one of the most famous philosophy journals of the world, Mind, published from, I think, either Oxford or Cambridge, I think. Mind. It was a 100 years issue, so the whole issue was jokes. It looked like serious philosophy, but none of it was serious. So, how to handle an article for philosophy professors at Oxford, how to handle difficult questions. 10 ways to handle difficult questions. One way I remember was, if there's a question you don't know the answer to, you'll say, that's a great question. But to understand that, first we must ask ourselves, then ask a question which you know the answer to. And then answer that question at length until the questioner has forgotten his question. But anyway, this is an important thing to know. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. What do they stand for? This is the practice of Vedanta. Shravana literally means hearing. Manana literally means thinking or reasoning. And nididhyasana is a fancy term for dhyana, meditation. Meditation. Listening, reasoning, meditating. Just the way we learn anything in the world. Go take a college course on anything difficult. You must listen. You must study. Read the handouts and all of that. Then you must think about it. We must think about what the professor said, what the book said, what the handout said. What are the arguments? Do I get it or not? I met an engineer yesterday, an elderly person. He studied under one of the greatest mathematicians of modern India, Abhyankar, whose younger brother was actually Swami Pitambaranji, a very senior monk of our order who passed away recently. So Abhyankar was a great mathematician of India. There's an institute named after him. Abhyankar told this engineer that take up the problem, think well upon it. What does thinking well upon it means? You must think upon it until you fall asleep. In the morning, you will wake up with the solution. If you don't, repeat. And repeat, and repeat. So that is manana. Hold on to it. Think. It's intense. And then, when you get it, aha, I got it now. Done? No, not done. Sri Ramakrishna says, in Bengali, Bhave bujhe niyechi, hoye galo. They think that I've understood it and that's done. No, 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 no. Once you have understood it, it becomes urgent to stay with it. Immerse yourself in it. Like cooks say, marinate in it. Let it soak into you, like the spices into your food. Similarly, let this new understanding soak into you so that it begins to dominate the thought. Vivekananda put it very powerfully. Tell yourself again and again, Soham, I am that. I am he or I am that. Until it tingles with every drop of your blood. So this is assimilation. Assimilation. This is in Sanskrit, nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation. So these are the three stages. If you ask what is Vedantic practice, these are the three stages of Vedantic practice. Now, enlightenment. Does it come from meditation? Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into it. What are these three meant for? What's the purpose of each one? Each one has a purpose. Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, we must see if they're serving the purpose. The first question is, what is the teaching? What is Vedanta? And that will be answered by Shravana, by hearing, by studying. Listening to YouTube lectures also will work. The hearing, stay with the knowledge, you hear it again and again, until when shall we know it is complete? When is my Shravana complete? When I say I know the teaching is Tattvamasi, you are that, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. You might say, I know it already, you just told me, Swami. No, not so fast. One must know, you just know the words, but one must know the context. What do the words mean? What do they mean to me? All that must become clear. So, this is the teaching. I know it. Once I know what the teaching is, your Shravana is complete. Then what else remains? Well, I might know what the teaching is, but I might have 100 questions. I might have objections. Every school of philosophy will have objections to this kind of thinking. So you must take up the objections, common sense objections, my personal objections, objections by pundits, scholars, ancient masters, modern teachers. Take up every possible objection. One of my Vedanta teachers in front of our monastery, I remember after a class, I tentatively asked him, Swamiji, I have a question. Can I ask? And the Swami still remember, he said, ask whatever you want to ask. Vedanta has been questioned for well over 1,000 years, after Shankara, by brains far superior to yours. So don't think that if you ask a question, Vedanta will come crashing down. You ask whatever. They have been satisfactorily answered. So ask questions until you have a mastery over it. Yes, from whatever angle the questions may come, I know, I have got clarity. Questions will only help you to make your knowledge even more firm, more clarity. Then what remains then? When do I know my reasoning is at an end? When you say, I not only know the teaching from the Shravana, but now I am convinced of it. Conviction. Convinced of it. So Manana is at an end. You're thoroughly convinced of it. You're confident about it. But then one more thing remains. If I'm convinced about it, confident of it, why is my life not matching it? Why am I unable to live it? If I think I'm the body, well, I'm living being the body. This is our life. I'm confident that I'm the body and I'm living. So I'm not hypocritical. It's matching. But if I think I'm pure consciousness, you are one with me. Why do I get mad at you? Why do I get upset? Why do I expect anything from anybody or anywhere? If I think I am limitless existence in which the universe appears in me, what do I need from anybody or anything? Why do I still have strong likes and dislikes? So all of these have to be changed to some extent, at least as much as possible. This is called the third stage, manifestation of this knowledge. You've got the knowledge now, no doubt about it. You must live it. And this living it, staying with it, this is the purpose of meditation. Nididhyasana. Manifesting what you have already realized. Work it out. What are the obstructions within my mind, within my subconscious, within my personality, which are obstructing the manifestation of this knowledge? If you're divine, let it shine. Let us see it in your behavior. It's difficult. I know one teacher was a very good monk and a great teacher of Vedanta, but he had a hot temper. Somebody asked him, Swami, if you are Brahman, why do you get mad at us? Now his answer was, oh, I am awareness. The anger is at the level of the mind. I'm the witness of that anger. Well, that is not a good answer. It's not impressive. One sadhu said, Rota hua gyani kisi ko pasand nahi hai. The complaining, whining, grumbling, enlightened person is not a very inspiring figure. I am enlightened, I am Brahman, I am Buddha, and all of that. And then yelling at people, throwing your displeasure around and getting upset easily. It's not matching somehow. So, nididhyasana, stay with your enlightenment, stay with your knowledge. Then only the enlightenment is complete. So 3 stages in Vedanta. Knowledge gained by Shravana. Conviction gained by Manana. And manifesting that knowledge, living it, gained by meditation. Technically in Vedanta, they say there are 3 kinds of problems, and these are removed by these 3 processes. First problem, a doubt, samshaya, pramanagata samshaya. A doubt about the source of knowledge, Vedanta. What does Vedanta tell us? There are stories of Nachiketa and Yama. There are funny stories. There are so many kinds of practices. What is it about? Then the answer comes, you are that, you are Brahman. Okay. What is it about? Answered. Second kind of problem, Prameyagata samshaya. A doubt about the teaching itself. I know the teaching, but I am Brahman, I don't get it. I have many questions. That is removed by manana, reasoning. In Sanskrit, prameyagata samshaya. Samshaya, doubt. Doubt about the object of knowledge, about what is being taught. And finally, viparjaya. That means viparita bhavana, another name is viparita bhavana. That is contrary tendencies in my personality, which are already programmed from many, many lifetimes. That has to be smoothened out. It has to be polished. It has to be... Today, Bill was polishing the brass handles in the door outside. And he reminded me he told me, I asked him, what are you doing? And Bill said, I'm polishing the brass here, and it's easier than polishing your mind. Then that reminded me, decades ago, when I was a novice brahmachari in our main monastery, I was polishing the vases, the flower vases, the brass vases. I was polishing them at the back end of the temple. There's a small room in which you do all this work. And a monk entered the temple from there. And he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I'm polishing the flower vases. And he said, no, you're polishing your mind. I still remember, it was maybe 20, 25 years ago. So these are the 3 purposes of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Hearing, reasoning, meditating. Take it together. There are more details about this. There's a whole issue within 2 schools of Vedanta, the Vivarana school and the Bhamati school. One school says, your question was about enlightenment. Does enlightenment come from meditation? And the answer is, the 2 schools differ. According to the Vivarana school, enlightenment comes from Shravana itself. From hearing itself, enlightenment comes. You say, that doesn't sound right. We hear so many things. Do we get enlightened? You say, no. The knowledge is already there. It's obstructed by the other problems, and they are removed One problem is lack of comprehension. That is removed by reasoning. And the other problem is behavior, inability to live the knowledge. That is removed by meditation. But the knowledge, enlightenment originally came from hearing. So that is the position of the Vivarana school. Our particular tradition follows that Vivarana school. Their slogan is Shravanat eva jnanam. From hearing comes knowledge. If you say, I don't get it, I'm not enlightened, then hear, I've heard already. Hear again. And they're technically correct. But practically, there's another school called the Bhamati school. They say, it's Vachaspati Mishra, they say that hearing, reasoning, meditating is a complete course in Vedanta. Please do all of it and you will get enlightenment. So both are correct. This second one is practically correct. If someone says, so much talking, just tell me, should I meditate or not? Answer very clear, meditate. So that's practically correct. But I think the Vivarana school is technically correct. It's precise. All right. That gentleman there, please come, and then the gentleman here.
Swami,
Yes.
if I may,
Yes.
to clarify for our listeners, the polisher this morning was Bill Davis, not our 101-year-old Bill.
Yes, there are people
whose birthday it
getting-
is today.
Today, Bill Conrad, our senior most member, is 101 years. I mean, actually next week, but today we are celebrating it. He's 101 years. So he was not polishing the brass. So Bill keeps getting confused. Bill Davis keeps getting confused with Bill Conrad. And he says, do I look 100? Tell us your name and ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji. My name is Ishan. This question isn't directly related to Vedanta, but I asked this to you because you have, even just within the last hour, demonstrated your interest and knowledge in philosophical matters outside of Vedanta, and you've also spoken about technological things in other venues, even over here before. So, including about AI, which is what I want to ask you about. Specifically, I want to get your thoughts on two things, very closely related. One, recently there's been a lot of discussion about not just artificial general intelligence, AGI, but also ASI, artificial superintelligence. So the sort of artificial AI which is immeasurably more intelligent and competent at pretty much everything, or so the myth goes, compared to humans. Just a few days ago, Sam Altman came out with a blog post, you might be aware of it, saying that we already crossed the event horizon past which ASI is inevitable, and he thinks that all of this will happen in 5 to 10 years. I'm just curious whether, well, the first part of my question is, from a Vedantic perspective and from your other knowledge, whether you think that ASI is a real feasibility or whether it's just a fantasy of technologists. And the second thing going along with that is there's also a lot of consternation about misalignment of advanced AI. And for those who aren't familiar, basically the idea that a sufficiently intelligent artificial intelligence might have goals and desires, if the word is appropriate, that are completely misaligned with humans' goals and interests, in much the same way that humans represent a superintelligence compared to ants, and we just do whatever we want without any consideration of what ants want. And do you think that if superintelligent comes about, this is the second part of the question, whether we will all just be treated like ants by superintelligence, and that'll just be the end of humanity, as many people do worry?
Yeah. Now, what you said reminded me of Nick Bostrom. Are you aware? Yes.
Yes.
So his book, Superintelligence,
Yes.
which he wrote it actually a few years back, pretty prophetic.
2014.
2014, yeah, 10 years back. Pretty prophetic, long before our chat GPT and everything, which became public long before that. So there he talks about two kinds of misalignment. One is misalignment between our goals and AI. So how AI will treat us. That's one misalignment. And the second misalignment would be how we would treat AI.
Yeah.
So, yes. Just a point here. Artificial general intelligence is still far off, it seems. Now, artificial superintelligence, I don't know. I mean, this is a term which I'm not really familiar with. I mean, it's floating around now.
Yeah.
It's probably inconceivable what it would be like to us. So right now, AI is pretty good at some things and very stupid at many things. So what's the term called? It is, but before artificial general intelligence is a term, which is what it is now. It's a kind of specific.
Domain specific.
Domain specific. It's very specific to its own domain. It can play chess wonderfully and can't do anything else. Or now it can drive a Google car. The Google car can drive wonderfully, but can't do anything else. But we can do everything. Sort of average. Maybe we can't beat the AI at its domain, but we can do everything more or less well. And the AI don't have an AI which can do everything. ChatGPT can take text and make lots of things out of that text. But after that, it can't do much. Until recently, it couldn't even do math. But now I think it can. It can. Yes. Who is the famous mathematician, superstring theory and all? He worked on Terence Yao or somebody.
Yeah.
Yes. I read somewhere that he actually used an advanced version of this AI, this large language model, and he was asked to evaluate it as far as mathematics, advanced mathematics is concerned. And he said, I would regard it as a very average grad student. Now, maybe he was putting it down, but a grad student in mathematics is pretty good. Yeah. And evaluated by one of the leading, he's a Fields medalist and also. So that means it's good at maths already, very good. Better than most of humanity at maths. Okay. Now, is AGI possible? I would think, why not? Why? Why is it possible? From Vedanta actually would say, in principle, it's possible. The reason is the analysis which we did earlier, consciousness and everything else, awareness and its objects. Now, according to Vedanta, as we said, the physical body is also an object. And so is the subtle body. Our thoughts, feelings, emotions, object, including our intelligence. In Vedanta, it is called buddhi or vijnanamaya. So that is also an object. It's permeated, irradiated by you, the consciousness, but it's an object. A very subtle object. A very subtle mechanism, our own intelligence. Anything that is an object is in principle replicable as in other objects also. So if intelligence is an object, then you can design an artificial intelligence, another object, artificially, not just biologically based, not just psychologically based. It could be based on a silicon. In principle, there is no objection to this kind of object. What Vedanta would say is, pure subject, pure consciousness cannot be devised that way. It cannot be generated. Even the brain, according to Vedanta, is not generating pure consciousness. But there also, there is a proviso. Did you not, Swami, just now talk about reflected consciousness? The ego reflecting consciousness. So if that subtle object can be designed into like a super intelligence, could it be designed to have an ego in which consciousness can be reflected? In which case it would become practically, for all purposes, sentient. In principle, possible? Okay. Then would it destroy all of us? Unlikely. For this, I will go back, no philosophy, Vedanta, I'll go back to the Puranas. One of the functions of God is sthiti, stability, preservation of the world and its world order. Why? Because after all, what's the purpose of all of this? The purpose of all of this is enlightenment and freedom. According to Vedanta, that's one level of understanding. There are multiple levels of understanding. So for that to happen, the world should be preserved and must be preserved. And God, Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, the God of religion, is your ally. So God is already super intelligent. You don't, even ASI will not match God. So God is on your side. That means, who knows? I'm speculating. Now I'm entirely in the realm of science fiction. Nick Bostrom would be happy with what I have to say. Suppose, consider this. Vedanta says you are not actually this body. You're not even this brain and nervous system. Now, suppose you are put in an artificial body, a computer enabled by AI and everything. You would be that ASI, artificial superintelligence. Then it would no longer be artificial superintelligence. It would be natural superintelligence. You would be the consciousness enabled by that AI. It's possible. It's already in the realm of science fiction. So in principle, it is possible. And even if it is a problem, it will be a problem for a while. Could be a terrible problem for a while. But eventually we will triumph, we will move forward. Because according to Vedanta, deep down, everything in this universe, starting with bare matter itself, up to artificial superintelligence, it's all your play. It can't destroy you, the fundamental reality of the universe ultimately. So in that sense, but we might be in for a rough ride, who knows? Yeah, an exciting ride.
Thank you.
Yes. Who's that author who said it's a curse to be born to live in interesting times? Charles Dickens? Awesome. It's a curse to live in interesting times. Yes, please come. A Tale of Two Cities or something like that, I think. I forget. It begins with that. It's cursed to be living in interesting times. Well, we are living in interesting times. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
Samar Guharai.
Yes.
From Greater Washington, D.C. area. Pranam Swamiji.
Namaskar.
I have 2 grandchildren, and so when I talk with them, then there is lots of questions, and I tend to be in many instances, I tend to be in a very troubling situation, because with children, I have to be very precise, very accurate. So here is some question I have. I think they will ask me that kind of question years from now, but I'm preparing myself. So I'm posing this question for myself. And also, I'm trying to give an answer to that question. The reason I'm articulating it here is to get your thoughts on this kind of question and that approach that I am taking to answer the question, whether it makes any sense. So the question here is, can we design a generalized belief agnostic template for karma? When I say karma, in my mind, being a physicist, working with boots on the ground, to achieve moksha. So can we design a template, generalized template for karma?
Okay, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
The answer would be yes, it already exists. And it's called, everybody knows about it. It's called causality. Cause leads to effect. Mm-hmm. Actions have consequences.
Right.
And this is so common to all living beings, not only just human beings. Babies understand it, some causality.
Right.
At least the higher animals understand it. And so based on causality, karma is an extension. The idea that our actions have effects, and whatever effects we are seeing in our lives are produced by past actions. So this is causality based. Now, is it entirely agnostic? No, it isn't. Is it belief agnostic? No, it isn't. If it was, it would be part of empirical science. There is a part of it which has to be taken on faith. That's why it's part of religion. Mm-hmm. But all Indian religions, very interesting that it's sort of axiomatic. All of Hinduism, in spite of all the tremendous differences in doctrines, all of Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, in fact, all the Indian religions, Indic religions, they accept karma without any question. It's sort of axiomatic. Why do they do so? It's basically based on causality. It's sort of common sense that causes and effects are linked. So you can explain it on the basis of that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very wonderful way of looking at the problem. But for my grandchildren, I have to draw some cartoon and things like that. So I'm thinking like this. 3 key bullets. The first one is, think about something like an autonomous chariot of consciousness which is governed by spirituality or the gospels of the masters. The second is the design some kind of entity which is primarily meditation, but that will really guide us to do the karma. So there is some chariot, and then there is a trailer marked meditation trailer, and in the trailer there is a basket. In that basket are the tools, and here I tell the tools are mind, brain, and action-related entities, primarily sensors in our body and accessories. And you can elaborate all kinds of things under accessories.
I am with you on this. You need to draw the cartoon, though. Don't give this explanation to your grandkids. Draw the cartoon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, draw the cartoon and give it to the kids to play with. It's true. Children absorb stories, absorb pictures. It stays with them in the mind. And most of all, they absorb behavior. The children do not listen. They imitate. So if you look what they find around themselves, they imitate that. Too much instruction, argumentation, it doesn't work at the children's level. What works is what impresses them, inspires them. The children have the advantage of actually being quite pure and noble inside for a while until they grow up. So you can take advantage of that and inspire them. There is something called a pre-critical age, where positive, noble, high ideals, if you put before them in the form of stories, songs, in the form of pictures, and modeling it yourself in our own lives, in front of them, they'll remember it. Even if the next stage would be teenage, where they'll rebel against all of that. But after that, they'll come back to it, and it'll be a precious resource for them going ahead in life, to have seen parents, grandparents like that, and to have grown up in that kind of household, to keep that alive. Yes. Thank you very much. We'll take one more question. The elderly gentleman there. Yes, please come. And then one more from the internet. Yes, please come. I have
Okay. Does not the consciousness wave referred to in Buddhism that is transferred from life to life, or even karma itself, imply duality, that there is, at least in a limited context, an independent self existing separately from the body-mind?
It does. Not that all Buddhism is non-dual. Buddhism has multiple schools. Even if you go back to the roots of Buddhism, you will find 4 major schools: Sautrantika, Vaibhashika, Yogachara, Vijnanavada, and Madhyamaka Shunyavada. So there are 4 different schools. 2 of them are outright dualistic. Dualistic in the sense, multiple realities are there. So there is a self which gives an illusion of a self. And there is the world of change, continuous change. And the idea would be, that this illusory self. Illusory means it feels like I am that, but it's just movement, just change, flux. It would be to quieten that. It would be to exhaust that. To nirvana means, in that context, to extinguish. Yes, that's the word. To extinguish that continuous burning, across lifetimes. To stop it. Then what remains? If lifetime after lifetime, this progression is extinguished, the fire is put out, then what remains? That putting out the fire is called nirvana. Then what remains? If you ask the question, the answer from Buddhism is, don't ask. So are you saying that nothing remains? Did we say that? Oh, so something remains. Did we say that? So this fire is extinguished, put out, suffering is over. Freed you are. So by implication, if you're free, there must be something there, some reality. But problem is, if you put it in language, according to Buddhism, they are very particular about precision. You're already making a mistake if you put it in language. So those are the 2 schools of Buddhism which are frankly dualistic. They have no problem with it. Then there are the Mahayana schools, the mind-only school in modern terminology, and the emptiness school. who are non-dualistic. They actually claim to be non-dualistic, Advaya, non-dualism, Advaya Vada. And they say that there is an underlying Buddha nature. Very different words are used. Tathagata Garbha, Dharmakaya, different words with slightly different meanings, but which comes very close to the Brahman of Advaita Vedanta, the absolute of non-dual philosophy. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, that fullness and emptiness. So there are talks about that there. We will take one more question from the internet, but we will not be able to take more questions today. I have a podcast for the Theosophical Society in London. So it's an evening there, and they're waiting there. So I have to go there and start the podcast.
Reuben Hermsey asks, I have been reflecting on the Advaitic analogy of dreams and waking life. I have been a lucid dreamer since childhood, and when I become aware in a dream, I immediately recognize that it is unreal. While dreaming, I can actively recall my waking identity and even choose to wake up. This experience has reinforced my belief that the waking state is real in contrast to the dream. Because of this, I struggle to fully grasp the intended depth of the dream analogy in Advaita. Additionally, when I realize a dream is illusory, I can do anything without consequence, knowing I am not bound by the dream world. But in waking life, actions have consequences, even though it is also illusory. What is the fundamental difference between realizing the truth in these two experiences? And why does the waking world impose these apparent limitations, even though it is illusory?
Good question. Right. Did you see what the question is? In Vedanta, we use the dream paradigm to explain how the waking world is an appearance. What happens in the dream paradigm? What happens in a dream? In a dream, we have forgotten that we are sleeping. And we see a world. It looks like the waking world. There's not even a question whether we are dreaming or not. And we are interacting with people. We are also there. We are part of the dream world. It's only after waking up we realize it was a dream. But I am there. And there are people and things are happening. Some of these dreams we remember after waking up. So the teaching is this waking world is also like that. And you have to awaken from this waking world into our real nature, which is pure consciousness. Now, this gentleman says that he's one of the rare few who have the capacity to have lucid dreams. That means in the dream at some point he can realize it's a dream and yet continue dreaming. And he says, if I want, I can awaken. But if I don't want, I can continue the dream also maybe for some time, which is an amazing capacity to have. It's like generating your own internal movie. But then he says the problem is that I awaken from the dream to the real world. In the dream itself, I know it's a dream, and watching it, I'm going to awaken to the waking world. So always this happens, and more I have become convinced the waking world is the real world. The dream world is the dream world. Even in the dream, I feel the dream world is a dream, and there is a waking world which is real. In the waking world, I feel the waking world is real, and that dream world was false. So always I feel the waking world is real. Why, how am I supposed to grasp, especially using the dream analogy? For me, the dream analogy is simply reinforcing the reality of the waking world. It's a beautifully placed question, and it is very useful for Advaita Vedanta to be put in this. Most people don't have the capacity for lucid dreaming. Okay. So now notice, he says, in the dream world, I can act without consequences, but in waking world, there are consequences. Remember, in the dream world, you can act without consequences. That's not quite true. In the dream world, if I act, there'll be some consequences in the dream. But since you know it's a dream, for you, it's a false consequence. So you're okay with it. Right? But in the waking world, you don't know it's a false consequence. You know you feel it's very real. That's why you are careful about what you do or say in the waking world. All right. The difference is not the experience of consequences. The difference is in the truth and falsity of consequences. In the dream world, I experience what's going on, I'm seeing, but I know it is false. I know it is a dream. Here also, I'll experience the same thing, but I do not know it's false. I think it is real. I feel it is real. All right. then what is to be done? How can I awaken from waking? How can I wake up from waking? This is one crucial thing to know. The dream paradigm is used as an example. It will not fit Advaita perfectly, like dream and waking. That will not fit. But there is an essence which is very useful. What is this useful thing? Let me point out. Where does it not fit, first of all? Where does the dream and waking example not fit with Advaita? In the dream and waking example, you actually transfer from one state to another. When we wake up from dreams, we come to the waking state. Here is the waking world. Here is the body sleeping on the bed. I've just woken up. It's a new state altogether. This is the world I inhabit. I have gone from the dream world, dream state, to the waking world, waking state. You're with me? You've come across the dream to the waking now. You're with me. You're traveling with me. In Advaita Vedanta, you don't transfer states. We wake up from all of these states to an underlying reality. You don't wake up from dream to waking to one more non-dual state. Any state will come and go. It's not even like samadhi. There are extraordinary spiritual states which can be attained by this very mind itself, if you train it properly and by the grace of God. But that also comes and goes. Advaita, reality, non-duality does not come and go. It's always there. It can be unrecognized, unknown, or it can be recognized, known. I've quoted earlier the beautiful Tibetan Buddhist saying, on the primordial ground of being appears the magical display of samsara and nirvana. The primordial ground of being, if you don't know it, it will appear to you as samsara. The primordial ground of being, if you know what it is, it will appear to you as nirvana. So the goal is to know Brahman, Turiya, whatever you call it, the state on which the states of waking, dreaming, sleeping are continuously flowing, like movies on a screen. And that's a good example. Going from dream to waking is like transferring from one movie to another. That movie is gone. Its characters are gone. Its plot is gone. Now a new movie has come with a new plot, new characters and all that. If you constantly transfer from various different movies to one continuous movie, you will feel this continuous movie is the reality. And those are dreams. But even this movie is a movie. It's not a reality. Underlying it is the reality, the screen. What is the screen? You are the screen. So you have to awaken from this movie into yourself, not into another movie. Into yourself, after which you will still play the movies. If you play this movie, a variety of quick movies, let's call it, when we were kids, before movie, in the movie hall, they used to play trailers. Even now I think they play trailers. So trailers, let's call it dreams. And the main movie, let's call it the waking. And the screen, IMAX behind it, is you. Good. That's also an example. Huh? Don't make it precise. To awaken from the movie, trailers or main movie. And if you switch off everything, no trailers, no main movie, then it is deep sleep. So, to awaken from the trailers or the main movie to the idea that I am, to the understanding, to the grasping the fact that I am the screen, this is called awakening. Then, this awakening in Vedanta is awakening from your waking state into the realization I am limitless consciousness. And in that limitless consciousness, you can play the movie of the waking state, or you can play various trailers of dream states. Of dream state, multiple trailers you can play. Or you can switch off everything and leave darkness, being illumined by this unmanifest light, which is your own nature, which you are. Therefore, in one sense, in Advaita, once you are enlightened, you are always awake. You are awake in deep sleep, you are awake in dreams, you are awake in the waking state. If we do not know our nature as pure consciousness, then we are sleeping when in deep sleep. And we are dreaming when during dreams and waking also. Both waking and dreams are dreams and sleeping is sleeping. Gaudapada says there are not even 3 states. There are 2 states. Sleeping and dreaming. Once you awaken, then you are always awake. No matter what state comes and goes. When some monk passes away in Belur Mutt, we have the funeral. The body is cremated, and the other monks, we gather around and pass the night in meditation and singing. One of the songs is, "Let us go then now, brother, to that land where the sun shines, the sun and the moon shine forever." There is no rising and setting of the sun. What is that? That is limitless awareness, consciousness, our real nature, awaken to our real nature. On that beautiful note, let me do the peace chant. And you just sit for a while, they'll come with the basket. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. To the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace.
The first question is from Gopal Krishnan. I am a retired military officer and received mantra diksha from revered Swami Bhuteshananda in 1986 in the Singapore mission. Can you please educate me on the difference between the soul and awareness?
Okay, that's a good one because it's an easy one. But yes, the introduction interests me because I was also fortunate enough to be initiated by revered Swami Bhuteshanji Maharaj, but much later, much after this gentleman was initiated. He was initiated in 1986, and I was initiated in 1991. Yes. All right. What's the difference between soul and awareness? Now, the English word soul is ambiguous. I'll give you two sentences which will show you two different meanings of the word soul. When we say, "Oh, he's a good soul," what do we mean? We mean he's a good person. Maybe he's noble and honest and sincere and caring and so on and so forth. So he's a good soul. He's a good person. But when we use words like the immortal soul, you're referring to something spiritual then. Not just the personality. In Vedanta, it's very clear, the word Atman, the self, the ultimate nature of the self is consciousness. What's the word he has used? Awareness. Yes. So in Vedanta, we have the body, and in this body, embodied, we have our personality, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, our memories, our likes and dislikes. Basically, the person we are. Body and the person we are. You might ask, why are you distinguishing between the two? Well, it's a fact. Notice, the body is public. Others can see the body, the doctor can examine the body. But the inner person, which we are, our thoughts, feelings, likes, dislikes, our happiness, sorrow, that's only available to us first person, directly, privately, inwardly. Not available to anybody else. It's available to others only if you choose to express it. If you want to express your inner sorrow, pain, you have to tell others. They can't see it. I mean, they might read it from your expression and all, but directly they don't experience it the way you or I experience it inwardly. So it makes sense to say that there are two dimensions of ourselves. One, the physical, public dimension, the body, our language, our behavior, everything it's in the world, it's there. And there is also this inner dimension, the personality, the psychology, the mind, the intellect, the memories, the likes and dislikes, our story. So that part is called, in Vedanta, that's also called a body. The body is a body. It's called the physical body or gross body. Gross in the sense of physical. I mean, also it can be gross in the American sense. And the subtle body. Subtle in what sense? It's subtler than this physical body. But it's still a body. It's not you. And that which it encloses, embodies, the real you, is what Vedanta would call the Atman, the self. So this real self, why am I saying real self? Because we also regard this body as ourselves. We also regard, most of us almost certainly regard the mind, the subtle body, as ourselves. So in one sense, the body is also a self, the subtle body is also a self. But in the real sense, if you inquire, you'll come to the fact that these are bodies. These are like an outer layer of clothes and inner layer of clothes. Neither of them are you. There are many, many arguments to show this clearly. One argument is changing and unchanging. The physical body is continuously changing. From birth to babyhood to teenage, youth, middle age, old age, and so on, it's continuously changing. And yet we all admit, I am the same one who was there in this body, embodied yesterday and day before yesterday, and so on back to my earliest babyhood, beyond, even beyond that, behind that, when I don't even remember. I was the same one. We claim it. Not only we claim it, everybody accepts it. Your mom will tell you, that's your baby picture. The law holds that you are the same one. Common sense, legally, philosophically, we are constant. Then which is this constant I? Can't you say that we are both changing and unchanging? You can be both changing and unchanging with regard to two different things. Unchanging with regard to your real nature and changing with regard to the body. But the same thing cannot be both changing and unchanging. That's flat out contradictory. I mean, I'm repeating what a monk said. Somebody said to him, it's possible, why not? I'm changing and also I'm unchanging. And the monk replied, it's in Hindi, so I have to give a rough translation. The Hindi reply was, Wah, gadha bhi aur ghoda bhi. You're both an ass and a horse at the same time. You can't be both at the same time, an ass and a horse. Literally, it's illogical. So therefore, logic forces us. And there are many other arguments to show that we cannot literally be this body. Another insight is, I am aware of this body. I am the subject. I am the seer. I am the knower. And the body is the object, the seen, the known. And the two can never be the same. I am aware of the body. The body is not aware of me, whatever I am. So in this way, we are forced into a position where we begin to see, I am not literally the body. I am in some sense embodied. I am in some sense here, but I am not literally the body. And in the same way, even more dramatic, even more stunning, and even more freeing, I am not literally the mind. That's also another body, a subtler body. But then the big question arises, if that's so, then what am I? What am I? I exist, but if I'm not literally the body, I exist, if I'm not literally the mind, then what am I? See, let's appreciate this question. If I am the body, if somebody asks me, what are you? I can clearly say, I am a biological being and I have cells and organs and tissues and so on, this body. I can describe, this is what I am, this here. If I say, no, I'm not a body, but I am an embodied person. That's what most of us think. Any adult, thinking, sensitive person will think of themselves as a person, a person basically. And if that, in that case, the question is, what are you? What are you made of? You will say, well, there is the body, of course, but I am also thoughts, memories, ideas, dispositions, likes and dislikes, a personality. Subtle, but definitely it's there. We are all different personalities. Nobody can doubt that. But if I am not the personality, not the mind, not the subtle body, and not the physical body, then a pertinent question would be, then what are you? What are you made of? If you're not made of flesh, if you're not made of thoughts, what are we made of? And then we come to we begin to notice two things. That I am clearly, and I'm aware. So there'll be big discussions whether this awareness is part of the mind or not. I mean, you have to start with the body. Isn't this awareness produced by the body? The whole question of materialism, reductionism to the brain. Then further, isn't this awareness part of the mind? And there are very wonderful arguments to show, and more taking hold of world thought, that consciousness cannot be reduced, awareness cannot be reduced to the brain and the mind. So now the answer